Um, as a young man, very young, there was doo wop. It started with doo wop, and on the radio, I would listen to the radio, so I would listen to all this doo wop, and then my mom, she had a particular, music that she liked. She would play a lot of Ray Charles. I didn't even know who he was at the time, but she would play a lot of Ray Charles. And then as I became older, you know, I I started listening to a lot of singing groups. The Motown people. The Atlantic people. Those artists. I'll name a few. Otis Redding, The Temptations, of course Aretha Franklin. Just so many people. That I listened to as a kid, and actually, I used to sing some of the songs. I would sing them to myself. I'd learn some of the words and I'd sing some of the songs and stuff like that. And as I got older, I got into jazz. My stepfather had a little radio, not a radio, a phonograph. You could play these with the 78s on, and so I would. That's how I first heard Max Roach, because he had some albums by Max Roach, and I was listening to Max Roach and Jimmy Smith, who's an organ player. I had a friend, a neighbor, who became a musician, and he was playing the flute and the saxophone. So what he would do is he would play these 78s, and then he would listen to what was being played, then he would play it himself. And so going to visit him and listen, and while he's practicing, I got exposed to Santana, different Chicago, different Herbie Mann. I really was blown away by Leon Thomas, who's a vocalist, and he's since passed away. Actually, I met him, and how I was able to meet him was through Smitty, because Smitty was, I think he was doing something for the Fine Arts Center, where he would he would be like a host, for not a host, but I put you call someone who when someone comes to university, that person guides them around. So he was doing that. So when Leon Thomas came to perform, I said, Smitty, I want to introduce him. So he introduced me to him, and I was like, I was so starry-eyed. He laughed. Leon Thomas laughed when I told him that, man, I love your music. He was like, he was almost, he couldn't believe that someone like, was someone, you know, um, enjoyed his music that much. So, that's one uh, example or several examples of, artists that I really, Archie Shepp. I can go on for days, because there was so many people who came through UMass that I got exposed to, that I got the chance to meet, you know, who were great, you know. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't meet him, but he performed over at UMass about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago or something like that. His son was his manager, and he played all his favorite music, all the favorite songs that I liked. And actually, he even gave a little talk, and he talked about how Louis Armstrong came to where he was from. I think he was from the Caribbean somewhere, and Louis Armstrong came down to play music there, and he met him, and he said that, if I'm not mistaken, Louis Armstrong either gave him a trumpet, or there was something personal about their relationship that he mentioned to the audience, um, that was in the Balker Auditorium. Yeah, but I met so many people, went to so many performances, and when I was a journalist, at UMass, working for we renamed the magazine Numo News. I met Sun Ra. I met who else? Rasan Rolling Kirk. I met so many people, you know, and who I was inspired by, who I respected their music, not only their music, but them as human beings. Diana Ross, you know, um, I used to love Whitney Houston. You know, um, I'm not too. I'm not. Everyone says Beyonce is great, but I haven't really listened to her that much. But I'm sure she's great too. But in my teenage years, there was just as many, well accomplished female artists as there are male artists. It's just that the male artists tend to get more credit. But like Mahalia Jackson, and there was another Bessie Smith. There was a bunch of people, who were very, 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 very prominent, in the gospel, the blues, the jazz, jazz era. The hip hop is kind of like different. That's not really my era. I don't really like, listen to a bunch of that. But, um, I listen to a lot of female artists, a lot of female artists. I love female artists. Yeah, see, there you go. Dionne Warwick, Dinah Washington. The list is like this long. I mean, there's so many of them. You know, she's from the South, so she used to like a lot of blues. So she would listen to a lot of Muddy Waters, and so she would listen to a lot of that type of music. But mainly she liked Ray Charles. She would listen to a lot of Ray Charles. And other artists. Mahalia Jackson in the gospel range. Bessie Smith. You know, um, a lot of female artists.